Once upon a time, in a big, sunny savannah, lived a tall giraffe named George. George was not just any giraffe. He had the longest neck anyone had ever seen. Sometimes his friends would giggle and point at George's super long neck. They would say, "Look at George, his neck is so long." George felt a little sad when they teased him. He wished his neck was shorter like all the other giraffes. But one day, something amazing happened. George was walking by the tallest tree in the savannah, where the yummiest and juiciest leaves grew. All his friends were there, trying to reach the leaves, but they were too high up. George stared at the tree, then at his long neck. He had an idea. He stretched his neck, taller and taller, until he reached the juicy leaves at the very top. His friends watched with wide eyes. "Wow!" they all cheered. George smiled and plucked the leaves, sharing them with everyone. That day, George started to see his long neck in a new way. Maybe, just maybe, having a long neck wasn't so bad after all. But little did George know, his journey was just beginning. There were more adventures and challenges waiting for him, where his long neck would help in ways he never imagined. After the day George shared the juicy leaves, his friends started to see him a little differently. But even then, not every day was easy. One sunny morning, a new giraffe named Lily joined the savannah. Lily had never seen such a long neck like George's, and she couldn't help but giggle and whisper to others, "Have you seen George's neck? It's so long." Word spread, and soon the teasing started all over again. George felt his heart sink. He thought that after sharing the juicy leaves, things would be different. He tried to ignore the giggles and whispers, but it was hard. That afternoon, George sat alone under a big, shady tree, feeling very sad. He started to wonder if there was really something wrong with his long neck. Just then, he heard a soft voice. "Why are you sitting all alone, George?" It was Lily, the new giraffe. George looked down and whispered, "Because of my long neck. Everyone teases me about it." Lily looked surprised. "But your long neck is amazing," she said. "I wish I could reach high leaves like you." George blinked. He had never thought someone might wish for a long neck like his. As the sun began to set, George and Lily talked and laughed together, and George started to feel a little better. Maybe, just maybe, his long neck really was something special. The next morning, George woke up feeling a bit more cheerful. With Lily's kind words in his heart, he decided to walk around the savannah with his long neck held high. But soon, George and his friends faced a big problem. A tall, strong fence had been built around their favorite trees, the ones with the juiciest leaves. All the giraffes gathered around, puzzled and a bit scared. "How will we reach our food now?" they murmured. George looked at the fence, then at the trees, stretching beyond. An idea sparkled in his mind. "Follow me," he said, walking along the fence. His friends watched, curious. Finally, George found a small spot where the fence didn't reach the ground. It was still too high for the others, but just right for George. Using his long neck, George reached through and plucked the juicy leaves, passing them back to his friends. "Hooray for George!" they cheered, munching happily. George felt warm inside. He was making a difference, and his long neck was the key. That day, not only did George feed his friends, but he also realized that being different could be a great thing. It allowed him to do things no one else could. The teasing didn't stop completely, but it didn't bother George as much anymore. He knew his long neck was something to be proud of. As days passed, George became a hero in the savannah. His long neck not only brought food but also hope. However, George soon noticed that not everyone was happy. Some of his friends felt sad because they couldn't do what George could do. They couldn't reach through the fence like him. George saw their sad faces and thought really hard. He wanted to make his friends feel happy and special too. "I have an idea," George announced one sunny morning. He gathered all his friends and said, "Everyone here is special in their own way. Like Billy the bird can fly high and see far places, and Sammy the squirrel can find nuts and seeds no one else can. So, how about we all help each other and share what we find?" Everyone nodded, smiling. They started to see how each of them was special. Billy shared views from the sky, Sammy shared nuts and seeds, and George shared the juicy leaves. Working together, they found more food and fun than ever before. The fence wasn't a big problem anymore because they had something stronger: friendship. George felt happier than he had ever felt. not because he could reach the leaves, but because he helped everyone see how special they were. From that day on, the giraffes and their friends worked together, and the savannah was filled with laughter and joy. After learning to work together, George and his friends made the savannah a happier place. They all understood that being different was not just okay, it was wonderful. One evening, as the sun painted the sky with beautiful colors, George looked around. He saw all his friends happy and healthy, thanks to everyone sharing what they could do best. George felt a gentle tap on his leg. It was Lily, the new giraffe, with a big smile. "George, can you help me reach some leaves? I want to share them with the little ones," she asked. George beamed and helped her, proud to use his long neck for good. That night, the savannah buzzed with a big feast. All animals, big and small, came together, sharing food and stories under the stars. George realized that his journey, filled with ups and downs, taught everyone a valuable lesson. It didn't matter if you were tall or short, could fly or jump. What truly mattered was kindness, friendship, and how you used your gifts to help others. The teasing that once made George sad was gone, replaced with respect and admiration. As George tucked into bed under a twinkling sky, he whispered, "Thank you," looking up at the stars. He knew that he was just right the way he was, long neck and all. And with that, George the giraffe fell asleep, dreaming about his next big adventure in the savannah. We hope you enjoyed this story. If you liked this video, please go ahead and push the like button. If you like the content and want to see more, please subscribe to our channel. Goodbye.